Australia's controversial deportation policy will be at the top of the agenda as the Prime Minister hosts his New Zealand counterpart Jacinda Arden this morning. Let's go live to political reporter Trudy McIntosh in Sydney. Trudy, what are we expecting here?
Laura, there's going to be this first one-on-one formal meeting between the new Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and his New Zealand counterpart Jacinda Arden, kicking off in just under an hour's time here in the Sydney CBD. Jacinda Arden flew into Sydney on a commercial flight late last night. That's because the New Zealand Air Force has been having a bit of trouble with her plane. She then went straight to Kirribilli House for this dinner with Anthony Albanese, a warm embrace between the pair, and they also posted a few pictures watching across the harbour at the beautiful vivid light display. Today, though, it is down to business and the big issues between the two countries. They'll be speaking about climate action, also Australia and New Zealand's role in the Indo-Pacific in countering China. The thorny issue, though, in the relationship for a number of years has been Australia's 501 deportation policy. It was a real sticking point with the former Prime Minister Scott Morrison. This is the policy that sees criminals deported back to New Zealand even if they haven't lived in New Zealand their entire life. Jacinda Arden has consistently raised this matter and hadn't received any progress. She's hopeful that that will change this time around under a new Labor government.
You know, just to be clear, the issue we have is not with deportation. We deport as well. You know, if a New Zealander comes to Australia and commits a crime, send them home. That's wrong. But when someone comes here and essentially, or hasn't even really had any connection with New Zealand at all, has spent their entire formative years and grown up here and have all their connections in Australia and are essentially Australian, sending them back to New Zealand, that's where we've had the grievance.
And borders will be the theme today. Trudy, Labor's position on boat arrivals already being tested. The second boat has arrived since election day.
Laura, the Australian obtaining these new pictures showing this Operation Sovereign Borders matter taking place on Christmas Island. The second asylum seeker boat from Sri Lanka intercepted in just this month. The boat is said to have left Sri Lanka on election day. It was arrived around Thursday morning. These 15 individuals were then brought to Christmas Island, processed there before being sent back on a chartered flight back to Sri Lanka. Now, this is what's called a take-back procedure rather than a turn-back of an asylum seeker boat. We also saw a similar action publicly announced by Prime Minister Scott Morrison on election day at the time when he was still Prime Minister. We have also seen, according to the Australian, a third asylum seeker boat intercepted by the Sri Lankan Navy. It was on its way to Australia and that had 76 people on board. Labor continuing to stress that nothing has changed in terms of the border policies, but it's certainly being tested on its hard resolve on this matter. The opposition leader Peter Dutton this morning trying to seize on this.
People smugglers aren't stupid. They're organised criminal syndicates. They're evil people taking money off innocent men, women and children. What we don't want to see is a repeat of Labor's last disasters. So the mixed messages coming out of the government that are heard in places like Sri Lanka are concerning.
Labor denies sending mixed messages on asylum seekers. We heard from Cabinet Minister Tony Burke this morning. He has insisted the policy under Labor has not changed. He also went out of his way to praise the hard stance when it comes to turnbacks of the previous government, saying they'll continue to be implemented under the new Labor regime.
Trudy, thank you.